I am going to explain in a lot of detail in this video how I went from this image to this image. By the end of this video, I am very confident that you will walk away knowing how to transform your body. I had a pretty drastic transformation. Honestly, within a year, I saw a lot of changes. I have been working on building, shaping, and transforming my body over the last almost 6 years, and I have been documenting almost every single thing online. So I am going to be super transparent with you guys in this video, and we are not hiding anything. I have naturally transformed my body, which just means I have not done any cosmetic enhancements, no surgery, no steroid use, like completely natural. And I've learned a lot over the years. Even in the last couple months, you guys have seen my body go through a really big transformation. I lost a lot of weight pretty quickly, which was intentional. I've done a lot of experiments. It's been super fun to see what I can change on my own. I feel like it's been a success for the most part. It's kind of crazy, like the questions I've gotten over the last 6 months. I have gotten so many questions in person, which is obviously more exciting to me than questions online because people are like seeing me in real life. Like I have had multiple guys ask me in person, like, are you sure you haven't gotten any work done? The craziest one was my sister was giving me a spray tan the other day, and I had just started working with this med spa, helping this med spa with their social media, and she was giving me a spray tan. Obviously, you're not wearing clothes. She was like, did you get like hip dip filler? Did you get something in your hips? For your twin sister to ask you if you got any work done is like the biggest, most ultimate compliment of all time. Yeah, I was feeling myself. I have done a lot of work and seen a lot of transformation. So wanted to give you guys a little credentials before we get into this video because I have a lot to talk about. Beginning my fitness journey, I was someone that had never lifted weights before. I had never dieted. I had never like counted my calories. Like I was fully a beginner. I would say I had decent genetics. I would not say that my genetics were anything crazy. I definitely gained a little bit more in my lower body, but I gained weight everywhere. Arms, belly, face, like everywhere. A lot of what was inspiring me and motivating me was we had this like rise of booty influencers on social media. Those influencers and those girls that were showing their natural physiques through weight training and diet, and they just looked so good and natural. The fitness inspos are a very big point to begin this conversation because in order to get your dream body, I would say the first thing that you need to understand is the conversation around genetics. I feel like the more you know yourself and you know your body, you know your strengths and your weaknesses, the more you can use that information to not only get to your goal faster, but to also have an understanding of like what is realistic and what is possible. I don't like expect everyone to know their genetics super well when they're a beginner, because I think that getting into the journey just shows you more and more what your body is capable of and what it's not capable of. When I was following these fitness girls years ago, I mean, I'm talking like 7-8 years ago, I was convinced that I could grow a body that looked exactly like theirs if I worked like they worked. When in reality, like fat distribution, how much your muscles grow, how your bones are even shaped is completely dependent on your personal genetics, and no one's genetics are the same. The first tip that I would give for trying to get to your dream body is to be very honest with yourself about what your genetics are. And I speak to women every single week about their genetics, so this is like even more personal to me at this point. There's a lot of different types of bodies, right? A lot of shapes. I know people, and I think we all can think of someone that eats like whatever they want and still has visible abs. That's solely genetics. I went through a phase where I was like, I want to be as thick as possible, right? And obviously the goal was not to gain fat everywhere, but I was very like determined to try and do this the natural route and share with you guys what happened and just like be my thickest self. This was the last couple years, right? I think I was like trying to convince myself that my genetics were not the way that they were. I was like, well, maybe I'm just like not eating clean enough. Like maybe I'm having too many carbs. Maybe I'm not doing enough cardio. Maybe I need to switch my split, try this type of programming, like intermittent fasting. I just thought that if I tried all of these different things, somehow my genetics would be different, and you guys could guess the outcome of that. It did not change anything. My genetics are still the same. This was shown to me more than anything when I lost around 15 pounds this fall, and I was going so hard. I actually did like almost no carbs. I was basically keto for almost 60 days, definitely like a couple days in between I was not. I was doing high fat, low carb, like really giving this a go. This year, I kind of got a little too thick accidentally, and that happens to a lot of us. Sometimes we gain too much weight, lose too much weight. The last 3 months, I have gone on a major cut. I've lost 10 pounds. I've been documenting a lot of it on my channel, as you guys have seen, and I feel really good, but there's still just like some stubborn areas that don't want to go. I lost fat everywhere, but that lower stomach still held on to fat, and it was very eye-opening for me. At the time, actually, I saw this picture, this old picture of my mom when she was like around my age. She was at the pool in a bikini, and she had like a little fat on her lower stomach that was pretty like evident, like you could see it, even though she looked very slim everywhere else, and her sister standing next to her had no fat there at all. Super eye-opening. I'm not going to sit here and say that it doesn't bother me sometimes that I can't get rid of that lower stomach fat. Who knows what I'll do in the future. I have no idea what I'll do with that area, if I'll do something to get rid of it and to just diminish the look of it. But I have found natural remedies. I have had things that work to make my stomach flatter, whether it's a waist trainer or it's certain type of diet that I do consistently. There are things that work, but again, it's just my genetics, and I learned that over time. Your body is going to want to store fat where it genetically wants to. So on to the next point. I think the next most important thing I would say is decide what you are striving for exactly. This can definitely change over the years as you get into this journey, but at least for myself, I wanted to grow my lower body. I didn't really have any other goal in mind, and I feel like I accomplished that goal pretty quickly. My goals changed as time went on. Like there have been times where I have gained a lot of weight. There have been times where I've lost a lot of weight, and in both of those moments, I was like, oh, okay, I realize where I feel most comfortable. So for every single girl, I think they need to decide like, what is your goal? Decide on that. Obviously that should tie into your genetics as well. And then once you decide that, you can figure out the strategy to get you there, which is what we're going to get into next. Next, I want to talk about training and how I've personally trained to get to the point I'm at now. I'm definitely not an expert, but this is my own experience. There were times I was doing 4 days a week on legs, which now looking back, I think that was very extreme. But I can also say that my glutes were the absolute biggest at that time. I think it was extreme, and I think it made me kind of burn out in the end, but I saw a lot of growth. Versus now I do more 2 to 3 leg days, and I just make sure they're very, very quality leg days. My split is usually lower, upper, sometimes lower, sometimes a cardio ab day, lower, break, lower again. So I usually do 1 upper body and at least 3 lower body every single week. Form is the most important part when it comes to training, because if you're not doing something properly, not only will you not see the results that you want to see, like maybe you'll see some growth, but you won't continue to see growth. You can injure yourself, of course, but I do think there's like a cap on your growth at that point. So I would say form is most important when we're talking about training and getting to that goal body. Number 2, I think with training is like, if you don't do something for long enough, you won't know if it actually works. Atomic Habits talks about this idea of the plateau of latent potential. And it's basically when your good action continues for long enough for you to actually see that breakthrough happen. What most people don't realize is they stop before they see that breakthrough. And they think either it doesn't work or like they'll just never get to that goal and they get really defeated. A great like analogy for this or example of this is with growing my eyelashes. Actually, I have been trying to naturally grow my lashes out the last year because I was someone that was like, I always had lash extensions. Okay, I was getting lash extensions for over 2 years and took very little breaks in between. So my lashes were basically gone. They started to grow with the serum that I was using, and I stopped that serum and just kind of let them chill for a little bit. And obviously I stopped seeing growth at that point. And I remember someone asked me like, what do you think of this serum? Like, does it work? Because I couldn't really give like an accurate opinion on it because I had stopped using it. Like at first it worked, but like, I don't know what the outcome would have been, right? Then I tried a different lash serum. And with this lash serum, I have been consistently using it. I've seen so much growth with it, and I can like honestly say it works at this point. Versus the other one, like I don't really know. There also was like a lot of side effects to that lash serum. So I don't know like would I've seen negative side effects if I kept using it. We try something out, we get a great strategy and a great idea, and we start it, and then we either are inconsistent with it or we just stop altogether. And we have actually no clue if that works or it doesn't work. I deal with women on a daily basis, and it's pretty simple. Like the girls that do their training consistently and are giving it their full effort and are going as hard as they're supposed to be, they see great results. The girls that don't see great results. The best advice I can give you is just keep working towards this body with the strategy you have, and don't stop for months, even years. I would say months, years, like, and then you can accurately say if this works for you or if it doesn't work for you. The next thing I'll say about training, and I get this question all the time, is like how I've built my side glutes and my legs and just my hips all together. I've made a lot of videos on this because I have seen a lot of growth in this area. So if you guys saw my last video, I explained how I got the illusion of wider hips. Working on the weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual. I would say this, like what I just said about the plateau of latent potential, is like one of the most important aspects to growing that side glute area. So it is a smaller part of the muscle, and in order to see growth, you have to really stay consistent with these specific workouts. And it's all due to just doing these specific workouts over and over and over again, not stopping, and doing it for a long time. A lot of women, I hear the same thing from so many of them. I'm like, how long have you been weight training for? And a lot of them just say, well, I was weight training a little bit and then I stopped, and then I picked it up again and then I stopped. We think that there's a bigger problem, but it's just the consistency. I left diet for last because this is something that I have experimented with for so long, as you guys know. If you're not eating enough protein, the likelihood of you being super happy with your end result is, I feel like, very slim. It plays such a big part in the shaping of our bodies, how much we're able to lift, how much muscle we can build. A lot of times people hit a plateau, and I feel like most of the time it's because they're not eating enough protein and they don't realize they aren't. Over the years, protein has really been such an important part of the process, and I notice such a big difference in my body when I'm consistent with it and when I'm not. So there's so much that goes into diet. I think everyone's body is a little different. Everyone has different goals at the end of the day. I'm definitely not a nutritionist. I'm not an expert. I know what's worked for me at this point. I still have goals, but I'm like really happy with the transformation that's happened the last 6 months, and 80% of it was diet. The rest, the working out, was just an addition to that. I think there's a different strategy for everyone, but I think that calories are so important. Knowing how many calories or what your macros should look like every day, I think that's super specific for everyone in their personal body and their goals. But yeah, I stuck to a number every day. I was avoiding foods that I felt like didn't benefit me or made me not feel my best. I stopped eating after a certain time. I actually did a whole video on the process. I'll link it down below. I get super detailed about it. One of the biggest lessons I've learned over the last couple years is just that the process is never ending. Even when you have a goal, that goal then switches to a different goal. So I don't even feel like I have an end goal anymore. I work on every day the processes that get me closer to feeling my best on a daily basis. And when you look at your journey like that, instead of like, I have this image in my head that I have to get to, you become such a better person in the process. You learn yourself so much better. You enjoy this journey so much more. When you fall in love with the process instead of the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. This was a struggle of mine throughout so many years of this journey. I just never felt satisfied. It's not even about that end goal. It's about the person that you're becoming to get to this goal and to get to this outcome. I can honestly tell you guys, I've learned so much about myself in this process of working on my body and doing it naturally. Another quote from Atomic Habits: true long-term thinking is goalless thinking. That end goal, that dream body image, don't put it on a pedestal as much as you are right now. Even when you get to that goal, you'll have a new goal. Really focus on getting the process down, getting all these habits in place, and you'll love this so much more. You'll feel so much better about yourself. I really wanted to start the year off with this video because I think that there's been so many changes in my life the last year. I am offering one-on-one training right now. If you girls want a strategy, something personal to you that will help you get closer to feeling your best, I can definitely help you with that. I will share the link down below to have you take a little quiz on what you are hoping to see this year body-wise. I love you guys, and I will see you soon in my next video.